Hey guys, thanks for joining me. And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Hey friends, welcome to Sharp Ends. Today I wanted to do a quick review of the PT Strider collaboration with ProTech. Mick Strider was one of the three original knife guys, uh, Hinderer, Chris Reeve knives, and then there was Mick Strider, and they were the first ones really to have really nice custom type knives. His knives are very distinct, and you should go on a little YouTube or image search. You should just Google Strider knives and take a look at what they do. The collaboration with them hits on a couple of key points that Strider often has in his knives, and that is this blade shape here, which has the sharpening choil and the finger choil choke-up point, the large jimping, and the basic shape here. When he does his custom knives, basically his whole shop puts out one pattern and they gear up and they make one pattern and then they sell that in a drop and then they go on and they kind of do another one. They'll come back and hit on other themes later on, but that's what they do. In this collaboration with ProTech, the price point is a lot less to be able to get this, and this is, I'll point out, MagnaCut. They the price for this is a lot less. You have a larger OEM working on this, and you're able to mass produce something by Strider, and you don't necessarily need to spend somewhere between $600 and $1,000, $600 to $1,000 on a Strider. You can instead spend less than $300 and get something that has his name and his mark, and you can get a feel for his ergo. So if you're looking into maybe getting a Strider down the road, but you don't necessarily want to spend that much money off the top, then this is probably the way to go. So there's a couple of things I'd like to point out. First, this is ProTech, so it has their button lock, and it's an auto, and that is great. I like their action a lot. It's very flicky. They've got great springs in here. The jimping on the scales is great. This is their aluminum scales, but also, there's the little details that ProTech does really well. Their landing pad for the clip is not milled underneath here. It's flat, so it won't burn. It won't cut up your pants. I like the way that they have their hardware, how it's inset. I just like that. I think that it's really nicely done. I like the fact that the shape of this knife when it sits in the pocket, it's really natural, and although it's fat back here, it actually doesn't really stop your hand from going in your pocket. It feels fine. I've never had a ProTech open in my pocket. It's a recess button here. Recently I had a comment on one of my pages saying that they absolutely hated ProTech and that one had opened on their pocket and cut off the tip of his finger. That's the first time I've heard that story. I haven't had that problem. I've never experienced a ProTech opening in my pocket. So yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, don't keep something tall that might, push against your pocket to open it. And if you do feel it open, I feel like you would feel that engaged, and that you'd be careful about getting it out of your pocket if it opened up somehow. But again, that's never happened to me, and that's the first time I've heard that story. Probably other people have had that happen to them, but it's not happened to me. I also like this little jimping at the end here. I think that that's nice. And I like how ProTech usually, it's made out of two slabs of aluminum, but it has an integral feel because the back is closed up, and I like that. It makes this whole knife a lot more rigid because you not only have these two back spacers here, which is not even a back spacer because it's going into a full frame, but you have this one in the middle here and then this one here, which gives a really, really solid feel to this knife. There's no play in this knife at all. It's very easy to fold up. And in fact, if you're doing one-handed work, it's very easy to open it with one hand, obviously, and use it, and then to close it. To close it, you just push it against your pant legs, and there, it's closed, right? ProTech, when the knives come to you, they are sharp. They are definitely sharp. This is still, you got the factory edge on it, and it is screaming sharp, which I really like about them. I like how they do their logo. This is the Mick Strider's symbol here. And then the branding on the other side is fine. You got the MagnaCut there, but totally low-key kind of stuff. Cutting with this knife is a pleasure. I will say that if you're cutting cardboard, this notch here and this here, if you're not careful where you're cutting in the cutting plane, this can catch up like on the wood, on the cardboard or whatever you're cutting. So you just have to be aware that you need to, keep your cutting plane on the blade, and that if you get to this point, you're going to end up tripping up on what you're cutting. So you just need to be aware of that. I don't think it's a bad thing, but it's a thing to be aware of. With this choke up point, it's a full 4-finger grip, which is great. No real hot spots to speak of. I get a little bit of a hot spot right here. If I was going to be cutting all day long, maybe I would feel that by the end of the day. I'm not sure. As far as holding it back here farther, the way that this knife is, I don't think that you're ever going to hold it like this. And also your pinky falls off then. It really naturally feels in your hand right here. And your thumb naturally goes onto this jimping, which is not only on the blade, but the back of the scales too, which I really appreciate. This is one of those knives that's kind of hard to get, and there's, versions of it coming out here and there, being dropped by different places when they get a chance to make it. But by the same token, it's much easier to get one of these than it is a standard Strider, and you're going to be spending a lot less money. So if you're liking the ergonomics and the look of this blade and everything like that, and you want to try out something that feels like a Strider, this is definitely the way to go. Thanks a lot for joining me today on this short little review of the Strider collab with ProTech knives. This is the PT Plus in MagnaCut. If you liked what you saw, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. And if you want to see more photos and other stuff, you can check me out on Instagram as well. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you next time on Sharp Ends.